Hey, how's it going? I have to talk about this. For so long, I've waited for people to talk about Spider-Man 2 in a way that I do. But nobody has ever done that. I'm probably in the minority here about really what this game is to me and how I feel about it. And it's like, I didn't like it that much. Not like, oh, this is like a 3, it's awful. But I'd give it like a 6 out of 10. I thought it was pretty mid. Now, let me break that down for you a bit. And I don't mean the gameplay. Gameplay, really good. I don't like it as much as like the original Spider-Man remastered, probably because, it's like I've played through it already and I get it. And I don't really care for the introduction of Spider-Man's what's it called? His the spider arms on his back. But really the story is the thing that I have a lot of issues with. And I went into this game like day one. I'm not going to talk about the bugs that I encountered because that doesn't really affect the story or anything, but there were many bugs when I first played it day one. But it's just, I went into this wanting to love it. I went into this game thinking this game will be game of the year. I went into this game thinking that this is going to be like one of, if not the best Spider-Man games I've ever played in my life. I had so many expectations, and when I played it, this game didn't meet any of them, which, it was gonna be hard for it to do anyway. But even if it didn't meet my expectations, I at least expected to really like the story. But I didn't really like this story. It was not as interesting or compelling. And, over the months that it's been out and over the time I've heard other creators talk about it, put their thoughts, I've really been able to pinpoint and hone into things about the story that I don't like about it. And to be honest, if I had to summarize what I don't like about the game into one word, it would be Harry. I mean, I really don't like Harry in the story. It does not work for me. In my opinion, if this game was going to be great, here's what I would do. Get rid of Harry. Harry as a character doesn't need to be here. And you might say, oh, well, who's going to be Venom? Peter needs to be Venom. That makes the most sense to me, that Peter becomes Venom. It also allows for the ending where Miles takes over the mantle and Peter, quote-unquote, retires as Spider-Man to be meaningful, where, hey, he becomes Venom. Unfortunately, it ravages his body and he dies, leaving Miles to be New York's only Spider-Man. I know, it's not great. And I know we all love Peter. We don't really want to be... I know we like Miles too, but it's like, it's Peter's like Spider-Man, But it's like, I feel like that's how that should have been handled. I'm not gonna talk about Miles' suit. I'm not gonna get into that, man. I'm not gonna do it. But really, I'm just gonna start from like beginning of the story and explain why I don't like Harry. I mean, I get it, we need to introduce this character, right? Because we don't know who he is in this world. Like, what kind of person he is, his backstory, his motivations. And it just doesn't feel like he is... Like, I don't know, they don't really... Peter and Harry don't really feel like friends to me as I'm watching this. It feels like they want us to think they're friends. Excuse me. But they aren't friends. And, as I continue to play through the game, the pacing and Harry in general were those two were problems. Those were probably the biggest problems I had with the game. Aside from Miles' involvement, there are so many things with this game that I love and I hate at the same time, and it's so conflicting. But I really didn't like Harry as Venom. I really did not like... I loved Venom's performance in this game. He sounded amazing. He looked cool. I mean, like, especially when at the end he had the wings at the end. That was really sick. Definitely felt more alien than some sort of weird monster kind of thing. That was really interesting to see. I think I heard that was from like the King in Black comic run. I didn't read that or anything. I don't really read comics or anything, so I wouldn't know. But As I played through the game, Harry being Venom seemed less like a plot point and more of a plot device. They seem to continue to push the narrative that him and Harry were friends, and that it was just a lot of conveniences occurred for Harry to get mad, for him to put the symbiote on, for the symbiote to really just mess with his mind, and for him to start like taking over like the world. But I mean, really, it started with, I was really interested in him at first when we saw that he had sort of like the Agent Venom idea, and I thought that was really cool. I feel like Kraven should have had more time in the game too, and I feel like we should have seen him kill the other villains instead of just off-screening it. Bro thinks he's Blackbeard, bro. But I really just wish that this game, it needed more time. Let me see here. Hold on. How long was Spider-Man Remastered? Like, it was like, I think it was like 17 hours long. And then like we have Spider-Man 2 here being 15 hours long. It was shorter. It didn't need to have. There was so much stuff I could clearly feel was rushed and was cut out too. It did not feel completed. If this game needed like a director's cut, it does, in my opinion. It really does. The story just feels incomplete. The progression from Peter just using the symbiote and having its power to help him become stronger. Sorry, I had to grab a drink of water. Using that power to become stronger, and then it sort of taking over him, making him more aggressive, making him angry, all these things. It was far too quick. And I get, it's like taking time, but it's like I really think that needed to be executed better. Another thing that needed to be executed better is Miles. I really feel like Miles' story isn't bad. Like, I really like that story plot of him of really just trying to come to terms with his father's death by the hands of Martin Lee, and really just seeing him confront him and really wanting to kill him for it. And I really like that a lot. I just wish we could have gotten more time with him specifically. And I know you can switch characters and you get little bits and pieces of dialogue, but I feel like the first half of the game should have been from Peter's perspective, and the second half should be from Miles. Because with the first half, we get to be the symbiote, we get to see how it affects him directly, and then after that, after it starts to really take over, we switch to Miles, and we see that, oh, this is sort of taking over him we see it as a bystander from him, and we get to see how it's affecting not just like MJ and Miles, but also the city as a whole. But the pacing was definitely an issue for me. I really feel like another thing, I didn't really like MJ in this game. The idea of her being transformed into Scream by Venom is a really cool concept. I just wish it was built up more. There was no build up to it. It just kind of happened and then it went away. I feel like it should not have been in the game in that case, even though I really liked the fight. It was interesting, but it was there, then it's gone. And man, and MJ does some really stupid things, which, I don't get why they had her do that. Like when Peter went into like under the overpass, she went in there after him for some reason, even though you can clearly tell he's not in his right mind and he's going to kill you for some reason. She went. I also don't like the gameplay bits with her. I preferred them in the first game. It was boring, sure, but you felt like an actual person. For some reason, they gave her this gun, which I'm thinking, okay, it's just gonna stun a little bit. It's not gonna do anything. She can down like the big, the big bulky like Venom symbiote, fodder monsters in like, what was it, like 5 or 6 hits? What do I need, like a 20 hit combo to kill this thing? That's ridiculous. I also thought it was ridiculous how she was able to take down those mercenaries that were armed thanks to training from like Sable, but it's like I feel like even if you're trained really well, right? It's not likely, okay? For you, one, okay? You're taking down a mercenary who has years of experience and a gun. Number two, they are bigger than you and stronger than you. It does not make sense for you to be able to keep doing that. I'm not gonna, but no, I need to focus on the story. But really, I just felt like it had potential. I would describe this game as nothing more than wasted potential. They shipped it out too early. I'm not even talking about the bugs, I'm talking about the story here. It was too early. They needed more time on it. And on top of that, they needed to put more in the game. There are a lot of things that I like about the game, but there are even more that I dislike. I feel like another thing is when excuse me. I feel like another thing with it is they really should have done better. I mean, most of my problems come with the symbiote, right? Because I feel like, as cool as the symbiote is, don't get me wrong, I love Venom, but it's the same story. We've seen this story time after time after time after time. And at this point, we really know what we're getting into with this game. But what I would like to see is with Kraven. Maybe you could have gone your own alternate route and given Kraven the symbiote. That would have been cool. That would have been interesting. Instead of following the generic formula of Peter getting the symbiote. Maybe you can start with it and then it moves over to Kraven and it corrupts him. Since he's like an animal, he wants to hunt. And that makes sense why he would really tap into that animalistic instinct of his. And like, he's dying. So it would save his life too. Which, that makes sense too. And I love Kraven, and we didn't get nearly enough of him. But yeah, if I were gonna sum up the main big issues with this game is, number one, not enough time taken to really explore the characters here, mainly Peter and Miles. I feel like I said, half the game should have been Peter, half the game should have been Miles. And, you know, just the overall pacing was messed up. I really wanted to like this game. I wasn't one of those people who was like, I wanted to love this game with everything in me. I love Spider-Man. I love Miles. I love Into the Spider-Verse. I wanted to love this game so badly. I tried. I couldn't do it. Even from the moment I started playing it, it just felt off. With immediately fighting Sandman. And I get, you know, obviously, you know, you with the first Spider-Man, you started by fighting Kingpin, but he had an overall bearing on the story. Sandman was just there. He just kind of, he's just there. He's there to be like, oh yeah, I'm being chased by somebody, and then that's it. He's gone. And I know there's with his side quests and how that turns out, but it's like, it's not a massive bearing on the overall, like, the main narrative. There's a lot of choices made with this game's story that I would describe it as safe. That's it. That's what I've been looking for. It's very safe. It's Harry gets the symbiote, not Eddie. But still, they have a relation to Spider-Man in a way. It's not going full original story. This is new stuff that we've never seen. It's safe. It ends with Peter retiring as Spider-Man. It doesn't end with him dead or paralyzed or something where he can't be Spider-Man. He's just retiring, meaning he's gonna come back. Harry at the end, he didn't die for some reason. He's just like in a coma. It's very safe. I feel like they really should have said, hey, this is number 2. I don't know how many making. I think they're only making 3. If they're making 4 of these things, then I really hope the third one really goes crazy here. Because I just feel like the first one had consequences. It felt like this game, it had like a massive effect on the world of Spider-Man that we were in. And we could see that Dr. Octopus at the end just is coming back for revenge on Spider-Man. Whereas this one, I mean, I guess just Venom's gone. Another thing I just thought of, man, I'm just kind of spouting at this point, but I don't care. I didn't like the anti-venom suit in this game. Not that I didn't think it looked cool, but it doesn't really make sense for it to be in this game. I know how it happened, how anti-venom came to be in the comics, but I don't really understand why it's here. Because once again, it feels like a fan service kind of thing, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, ooh, look at that. Something that you could clip and put online, like, oh, I can't believe an anti-venom's in the game. Because, like, look at the way it was done. There were a lot, like, and when you went into his head and he was still mourning Aunt May's death, like, that is a really good story, but that is a really great detail. I wish they would really harp on these things, because they focus so much on the shock or the flare of how something cool something looks, and not really just going into somebody's head like that. And I mean, we saw Miles, unlock a new form of his, like, venom power, where he has, like, blue lightning now, which is really cool. And how his blue lightning was able to free Peter from the symbiote's control at the end of it there, like, it's really cool. I wish it was built up more. It needed more time. It needed things not cut. I wanted to see more from this game, but it didn't deliver the more I was looking for. If I could just look at this game in a vacuum, it's just the gameplay, I would love it. I can't do that. As much as I would like to, I can't look at it just from the gameplay perspective. I have to look at the story, because they set that up. The first game story, it was great. It really made you feel like you were Spider-Man. It really made you feel like it was you against the world, and I love that. And and I get at the end, it was a little. There were a lot of enemies, and they didn't really go into detail. But I mean, it worked better that way. It worked with that game because of the way Dr. Octopus was set up. He went to the raft and he got them all out. And I mean, they didn't use characters that people wouldn't already know about, right? If you know Spider-Man, you know Electro, right? You Rhino, right? You more than likely know Scorpion, right? You know these people. It's not something new. And I think that's why they rushed it in a way. But in rushing it, they limited themselves in their ability to tell a full, in-depth story that has consequences, that doesn't feel safe. And I'm really, at this point, I'm concerned, right? As opposed to excited with what they're going to do with Carnage. And like they were hinting at like Silk at the end there. I'm concerned. Because if this is the route they're going, then that's like, because I feel like characters like Silk, characters like Carnage, like they need a good bit of build up. We saw with Carnage, like Cletus there was going for the symbiote and he got off the train, but I hope they go more into detail with Cletus. And like, I get it, we know who Cletus is, we get it, but it's like, it's just for the sake of a coherent, deep and immersive story, I really just hope they go more into detail. If this was an issue where like Sony or like some big wigs at Insomniac or something, or they were just running out of time, I hope that for the next game they get the time they need. If it's a money thing, I hope they get the money they need. Whatever they need to cook, I need them to cook, because they have some great chefs in that kitchen. They just need to be able to really have the time and the resources they need to really just give it their best, because I know they can do it with Spider-Man and Spider-Man, Miles Morales, with how great those were. Even Miles Morales, I know it was like a 6-7 hour game, shorter thing. It was still really good, still great character development and characterization for Miles, really propelling him forward. And I hope we get that in the next game. But yeah, that's all from me. Bye.